Welcome, everybody. I'm Glenn Crooks, Matty Lawrence here. Apologize for the delay, but we're on with the NYCFC Pregame Live. We're right there. See that? We're at Red Bull Arena in Harrison, New Jersey. We were here Saturday night, Matty.
We were.
Different circumstances, but welcome back. How you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing very well.
Good.
Different amount of fans in the crowd, I would imagine, as well, just looking out there as well.
Well, we do have a pretty good look at it from our vantage point here. We're looking out over, and you're seeing pretty much what we're seeing, and that's the New York City goalkeeping core warming up beneath us, led by Matt Freese and his keeper coach, Rob Vertugian, Roman Salentano, the Cincinnati keeper. He's on the opposite side of the pitch warming up too. But we're not always sure. It's a midweek game, number one. Yeah. And when New York City's had home games at Red Bull Arena, which has been pretty frequent over the years when Citi Field and Yankee Stadium are unavailable, then it's the crowds have been minimal. But it was not the case on Saturday, Matty. And, we really should get into it because and we also know, based on your Mets and how they got into the playoffs, and they're actually playing at the same time as New York City tonight. So Matty may have one eye on ESPN and the other here on the game. But because of that, the Saturday game, the Sunday game against Nashville will also be here at Red Bull Arena. Yeah. So you're closing at home in 2 out of your last 3, but home is Red Bull Arena. So, it's a little odd. But.
And it is the fact that it's just so different, isn't it? It's the fact that you would rather be playing away from home here against Red Bulls, if that was possible in both the games, than playing at home here against Cincinnati and against Nashville, just because there's going to be no atmosphere. It's going to be very moon-like out there. It's going to be a case of the players having to create their own atmosphere, Glenn.
Yeah.
It's a crying shame. I understand the frustrations of the fans, but you would have thought that maybe, and I don't know, I may be speaking out of turn, but you would have thought that you can make an exception for a couple of games to come and cheer the boys on, to come and cheer them, hopefully, come and cheer them into the top 4, where they can then obviously get home field advantage. And, home field advantage could hopefully be somewhere other than here as well. I know it becomes very difficult with both teams, both the Mets and the Yankees in the playoffs right now. I know the Mets are in the wild card spot. But it's a shame, and I always used to hate playing any game of football, Glenn, whether it be pre-season or in-season, a regular season game in front of nobody. I'd rather be playing on a park pitch with 10 people and a dog watching than in a massive stadium like it is here, 25,000 capacity, with maybe 4,000 people here if we're lucky. So it's going to be, for me, it becomes very difficult for the players after they've had such a monumental occasion. We always call it, our phrase back home is after the Lord Mayor's show. After the Lord Mayor's show.
Yeah.
And then the next day, it's nothing. And it feels like the next day, the games come very quickly.
Well,
it's all about creating your own atmosphere. That's the first tackle. It's the first header. It's the first challenge. You have to do it yourself as a team, because you can't expect 3,000 or 4,000 fans to lift you for a game here. Let's be honest, as a professional athlete, you shouldn't expect the fans to have to get you lifted, but it is factual that you are much more capable of raising your game, when there's 20,000 people here, whether they're screaming for or against you, Glenn.
Well, the idea, though, is they're coming off that massive result with a lot of fans. This all has to happen. But let's go back to that day where it's a 5-1 result. And Matty, was 2-0 within the first 7 minutes of the game, really before the 7-minute mark. Maxi Morales and Alonso Martinez. So let's go back. And on the New York City FC network, that is the radio side of things, you'll see the video, but it's over with our audio on the opening goal. This one happened really quickly. Eventually, the Red Bulls play it back to their keeper, Carlos Coronel, the Brazilian. Then here's a takeaway by Maxi Morales, the shot, and the goal! New York City, inside of 5 minutes, take the lead on a Maxi Morales goal after the turnover by the Red Bulls in their area.
Well, it is an absolute catastrophe from Coronel. He can see Maxi Morales. Maxi Morales is standing right in front of him. You don't need peripheral vision. You see him. He's right there. He passes the ball to Morales. But credit to Morales. He cuts it onto his left, then drags it back onto his right, and he uses the defender as a little wall. I think it's Edelman. He just plays it through the legs of Edelman and into the corner. Nothing Coronel can do. That's the class of Maxi Morales. That's the composure as well. I'm not sure many players would have done that.
Yeah, I like the way you put that. You're not sure many players would have done that. I thought the thing I noticed, and it was after talking to Nick Cushing too, because he said one of the reasons he really likes Maxi Morales on the field is because they're focused more on the press this year, and he sees things that other players don't. He might have baited Coronel into that little ball.
Possibly. Look, he's the catalyst, isn't he? I've listened to that interview, and I suggest everybody else listens to that Nick Cushing pre-game interview. It's a wonderful interview, and it does give you an insight into what Maxi Morales brings. You know, he brings quality on the pitch, but I must admit I didn't know that he's the driving force in the press. He's the true football intelligence in the team. I'm sure that other players are intelligent too in a footballing sense, but he knows when to go. He's the trigger. That's what we used to call it when I was playing. He's the trigger. He goes and everybody else follows him behind him. And he's intelligent enough to know when to press as well. And I'm with you. Maybe he did bait Coronel into it. Whatever it was, Coronel and then Edelman for the second game, they may as well both of them been picking the odd daisy or two. They weren't concentrating. They were doing other things. Their heads were still in the dressing room, Glenn. Yeah. They made two massive errors. But as I think Nick Cushing says, and you say in that pre-game interview, you still have to take your chances. Just because somebody gift wraps something, you still got to undo that wrapping and take out the present, take out the prize, you know. So full credit to Martinez and for Maxi Morales, because those goals came very in a very short time into the game. Sometimes you're not quite attuned with the pace, you're not quite up to speed, you're not quite thinking correctly. But look, credit for both of them for terrific finishes. Martinez is as well in the ability to hold off Reyes before finishing, Glenn. I don't think we mentioned it, or I didn't mention it enough when I was describing that goal.
No, but you did. You talked about how he held him off, I think, and that made it 2-0. And for Maxi, he got an assist later in the game, which we're going to see. 100 goal contribution, second only to David Villa, who had 103 in club history. So Martinez, you mentioned that. He had a first-half brace, and here's how it happened. This is the English hometown commentary. This is the brace, the second goal.
Martins drives one diagonally across the field to Andres Perea. Perea receives it on the left to Parks. Parks accelerates on the dribble and now gets it through to Kevin O'Toole. Alonso Martinez in front of the goal, settles, shoots, and scores! In first half stoppage time, he's got a brace, and New York City's got 4! Red Bull Arena, which will be New York City's home on Wednesday night when they host FC Cincinnati. But here on a Saturday night, they're on the road against the New York Red Bulls. And this is the most delightful, delicious, enthralling first half of play for New York City FC in quite some time. I'll have to think about it over the 10 years, Matty, but we haven't seen much like this before.
And I have thought about it, and I couldn't come up with anything. That was the most incredible. There are a lot of other adjectives. I tried to make some descriptions there on the fly, but I don't know if you remember any first halves like that.
No, I don't. For sure, sheer excitement in a big game as well. I know all games of football are big, but this one it was a monumental occasion because NYCFC, it felt like a must-win. And a must-win not only because of their league position, but also because of the fact of who their opponents was and where we were, where the occasion. I think it was as exciting a first half or exciting a 45 minutes of football as a whole as I've seen for NYCFC. But also we cannot fail. It would be remiss of us not to mention that the 3 goals that we're talking about, the first 2 and then that one, the second from Martinez, just the huge errors that were made. Yes, you still got to finish them off. But boy, did New York Red Bulls, were they architects of their own downfall? Did they shoot themselves in the foot, shot themselves in both feet, if you ask me? It was calamitous mistakes time after time after time.
And that's probably the game-deciding goal, or was it this one? So New York City was up 2-0, and then the Red Bulls came back. Van Zier made it 2-1, and now you're like, okay. And New York City had all the play, but Red Bulls made it 2-1. And then just a short time later, you have this, and the guy who assisted on this, we're also going to see his first career goal. again from our English hometown commentary on the network.
Here's O'Toole for New York City. Good cross, mid-six. Diving header. That was by John Tolkien to get it out of the area. Now it's Gray to the back post. It's 3-1 New York City as Andres Pereira crashes the back post. And Tavon Gray with his 7th assist of the season. Wow, New York City answers. They felt hard done by because of what we would perceive through numerous replays as the wrong call from Torrey Penso back at the other end. But it's Andres Pereira getting the start tonight in place of Santi Rodriguez. And it's New York City 3 and the New York Red Bulls 1. Pereira, I thought he was going to wind up and take a 30-yarder. Did not. Left of center. Instead, it's into Ojeda. Now O'Toole. Maxi Morales, boy, he collected that nicely. It was a tough one. Shot by Gray. It's a goal with the left foot. First time for Maxi Morales. Outside of the area. On the deck. Beat Coronel at the back bar. And New York City, they go up 4 goals on the New York Red Bulls in the Hudson River Derby. Nick Cushing remains calm in the technical area. Arms folded. Sandro Schwartz also arms folded, but different things going on in their minds, that's for certain.
There's a party going on in the head of Nick Cushing, that's for certain. How about the touch from Maxi Morales? He cushions the ball, and then we talk about pass appreciation, the weight of the pass. He rolls it delicately back to Tavon Gray because he knows it's on his left foot. He doesn't want to test him too badly. And Tavon Gray just whips that left foot round him. It's exquisite. He curls it round Coronel with the inside of the left foot, and boy is he happy. Well, he's not a shy boy, is Tavon Gray, and he's letting everyone know.
New York City's first homegrown, James Sands, scored his first career goal against Inter Miami last Saturday. Tonight, another homegrown, Tavon Gray, his first career goal, and boy was it sweet.
Yes, it was. A couple of things there. Andres Pereira starting for Santi Rodriguez. Santi, who was suspended, yellow card accumulation, he's back in the lineup, but Pereira is as well. Keaton Parks not in the squad tonight. He hurt his hamstring late in the game. It was called a hamstring cramp by head coach Nick Cushing. But he's getting the rest, and then there's the Sunday game against Nashville, maybe more so getting prepared for that. But back to Tavon Gray, and it's true. I mean, his service accuracy prior to the season, it was all
poor.
over the place.
It's been poor. Let's be honest. Let's tell
the left
the truth.
foot, and then the left foot has, we've seen him try to serve with the left and shoot with the left in the past. So, I mean, that's
firstly, he's grown in confidence. That's for certain. We know that he has confidence. As I said, he's not a shy boy. I don't want to say arrogant, because any professional footballer has to have a tinge of arrogance to get to this level. But slowly but surely, he's understood himself, and I think understood his own limitations, because he isn't going to start pinging 50, 60-yard diagonal balls. He's not going to do that. But he's worked very hard in training on crosses, and he's obviously worked pretty hard on his left foot, because I honestly cannot remember him doing anything particularly with his left foot apart from standing on it.
You want to hear Nick Cushing talk about Gray?
Sure.
All right, here it is from the pregame show coming up at 7:15 on the New York City FC network, nycfc.com/radio, the NYCFC app. And also tonight for kickoff, you need to go, and if you're watching this game on TV, and I know many are, for instance, our boys, let me see if I can get this here. Yeah. So we talked earlier about being a Wednesday night, and we understand this is difficult. Our boys are in Queens, hard to get in, so they're going to be watching it. Now, City boys, I want you to give me another comment that you're going to be using the drop-down feature on Apple Television and MLS Season Pass, so you can hear this guy analyze the game. All right, I want to make sure that that happens. I don't want any excuses on that, and that goes for everybody else who's on the stream here. But I promise Nick Cushing talking about Tavon Gray.
Things that really stick out to me with the assists, serving accuracy. Let's just face, before this year, we did not see that. And then finishing with his left peg.
And his left foot wasn't so good when he became a regular player here either. So, credit to Tavon, those that have worked with him, but there he is. First goal is with his left.
Well, the crossing he's working at, and he's worked at. He's always been a top defender, but the offensive side of the game this year, I wanted to be aggressive with our fullbacks. We've probably seen, in my opinion, the best fullback in MLS in Anton Sinnerholm for offensive moments since I've been here anyway, especially 2020. He was real high level at producing goals and assists. We wanted to push Tavon in that moment. Let's get the offensive moments up. His crossing has really improved. I knew the goal was going to come at some point because he wanted it and because he gets in and around the box. He's had some shots, but to come inside and shoot off the left foot from 20 yards is, I think it's your day. When that happens, it's your day.
So there's the gaffer on Tavon Gray, who is not in the 11 tonight. He is on the bench. Micha Ilinic getting his first start in an MLS match since July the 20th against Orlando City. And we would have to infer from that Gray just needs a rest.
Yes.
He's played a lot of minutes. We've seen him strained at the end of some matches recently, so I'm sure we don't have official word on that, but he is on the bench, so I would imagine it's just a matter of load.
Yeah, and I would have thought that they won't want to bring him on either. He's on the bench because there isn't really another right back, but I'm with you. You would always want to stick with a winning lineup, certainly a winning defence, one that's only conceded one in a local derby when you've won 5-1. I do think, and I say this a little bit tongue-in-cheek, Nick Cushing will be incredibly happy that Keaton Parks pulled his hamstring slightly, because that saved him from having a monumental decision on who to drop. Because I always say you earn the right to wear the shirt, and every single player out there in that 11 earned the right to wear the shirt. So I hate to think we would have dropped, and it would have been very, very unfortunate. So maybe a little sigh of relief, and I'm semi-joking, from Nick Cushing, that he didn't need to make that decision on whether to drop Parks, whether to drop Pereira, because full well he was always going to bring Santi Rodriguez in.
Well, and I think the other interesting thing about the starting 11 is that Justin Hack gets another start at left central defense after his performance in the Hudson River Derby. And if you see the bench, Strahinja Tanasiewicz and Burke Risa are both on the bench in favor of Justin Hack. That's quite a statement.
He has earned the right to wear the shirt because of not only what he did in that derby match, the 5-1 win, but also what he did when playing left back or centre midfield. Every time he's been called upon, he hasn't let himself or Nick Cushing or the team down. So full credit to Nick Cushing for not persevering, I don't think, but sticking with Justin Hack. He deserves it. He has earned the right to wear that shirt.
All right, that's Matty Lawrence. I'm Glenn Crooks. Coming up in just a few minutes, about 10 minutes, 7:15 Eastern. It's the pregame show presented by Ford with Nick Cushing, my one-on-one with him. And that's gets followed by our live commentary. So we're going to call it for you. We're going to paint the pictures for you if you're just listening to us. If you're watching on Apple TV with the MLS Season Pass little feature, you can use the drop-down app and listen to our English hometown commentary on a Wednesday night. 14 games in MLS, and we're going to be tracking a couple of them closely. In particular, Orlando City, Philadelphia. There is a scenario where New York City could move into the 4th position and be in control of their own destiny for home field advantage in the opening round of the playoffs. A victory tonight and a Philadelphia win in Orlando would do just that. And then the other one that's kind of interesting, Columbus Inter at Miami. That's going to be a fun one as well. All right. So for Matty, I'm Glenn. And thanks so much for joining us. And we'll talk to you in a few minutes.